Let me show the methods we just worked with in the previous video so I can summarize them. For and then and compose on the function category of interfaces, any interim functions are not required to have the same type arguments. Instead, one function's output becomes the next function's input, and the next function's output is not constrained to any specific type except the last function executed in the chain. The consumer's and then method is different because it never returns a result, so you use this when you're chaining methods independent of one another. The predicate methods always return a Boolean, which will combine the output of the two expressions to obtain a final Boolean result. I covered two of Comparator's static methods, natural order and reverse order, in a previous video. I want to cover the additional convenience methods now, since, as you can see from this table, many take a functional interface instance as an argument. There is a comparing static method and an overloaded default method, named then comparing, and finally a default reversed method. Let's look at these in some code. Once you understand how to use them, I think you will really appreciate these methods. Continuing with the code from the last video, I'm now going to include a record in the main method. I did something similar, creating a record as an inner class in a previous video, but now I'm going to create a local record as part of this main method. This record will be called person and have two string fields, first name and last name. Next, I'll set up an array list of a few of these records, which will be some fictional characters. List of person, new array list, and then I'll use arrays.asList. First one is Peter Pan, then Peter Pumpkin Eater, and Mickey and Minnie Mouse. Now that I have my list, I want to sort it. I can do that with the sort method on list, passing it a lambda expression representing a comparator. I'll pass it a lambda which you've seen before that compares last names, using the compare_to method on string. I'll use for each to print each name in the list after it's sorted. Because my record is local to this method, I can directly access this records fields, as I'll show here, referencing the field last name on O1 and O2. Running this now. I get my characters printed out in last name order. That is one way to achieve the goal. There is an easier way to do this, and that's by using a static method on comparator called comparing. This method takes a function as its method parameter and returns a comparator. I'll separate the output here. I'll call sort_on_list again, but this time I'll pass it the result of executing the method comparing on the comparator interface type. I pass a method reference person : last name and print each element sorted this way. In this case, the method comparing is a static method on the interface, so I call it directly from the comparator type and I pass it a method reference. This reference implicitly accepts a person instance and retrieves the last name field from that instance. Let's run it now. I get the same results, but what's even nicer, I can chain another convenience method called then comparing and pass a second method reference or lambda expression to do multi-level sorting. First, I'll copy those last three statements and paste a copy below. I'll remove the last parentheses and semicolon from the second statement and then add a new line. I'll chain a call to the then comparing method and pass the method reference person : first name. And if I run that, I get my characters printed out sorted by last name, then first name. This is confirmed by Mickey now being output before Minnie. Finally, I can take this sort and simply reverse it. I'll copy the 4 lines above this and paste them. I'll chain the reverse method after the call to then comparing. And now running that, you can see the records printed out in reverse order from the previous sort. These methods on comparator certainly make it much easier to create many different ways to sort. I'll be using these methods moving forward when sorting custom classes or records. Okay, so this video ends our discussion about lambda expressions, which have really changed the way developers write Java code. I want to congratulate you for making it this far in the course. I'll be continuing to build on what you've learned here as we proceed to collections in the next section. I've already investigated some classes and interfaces that are part of collections, namely lists, array lists, linked lists, and iterators. In addition to these, there are other collections such as sets and maps, and that's what I want to focus on in the next section. I will see you there.